Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome to my YouTube live. You're welcome to another Saturday with the FSWG community. You're all specially welcome. My name is Gloria Elijah. This is Frankly Speaking with Gloria Elijah, and I am the girl with the T, as I would love to call myself. Yes, I'm super excited that we're meeting here again today, as we always do every Saturday. Yes, and today promises to be quite um, exciting and very educative because of the topic of conversation for today. I already did a video, I think 2 weeks ago, where we talked about a disabled couple, a popular disabled couple on TikTok, with their genetic situation and the fact that they just had a baby. Yes, there's been the internet's backlash against this couple as regards their decision to have a child, despite the fact that they are not able to 100% cater to themselves, So it's been a whole lot of talks on social media. And I did a video about it. I told you all during our live conversation last week that today, this week, this is what we're going to be discussing. So here we are, and we're about to dive into this conversation, But as usual, I just want to encourage everybody to go ahead and share their thoughts in the comment section. All right. However way you feel about the situation, guys, just go ahead and share your thoughts in the comment section. And if you have anything that you want to contribute to the conversation, as usual, I will share the link in the comment section. So all you have to do is just click on the link and join the conversation. So once again, you're all especially welcome. I see you guys in the comment section. I see Zamio. Zamio, you are especially welcome. Thanks for joining. I see Noel. Noel, you are welcome. I see Bondu Coca. You are especially welcome all the way from Sierra Leone. Thank you all so much for joining, for tuning in. To the silent viewers and silent listeners, you are welcome as well. And I would love to at least hear from any one of you today. All right. Okay. All of that said, guys, let's just quickly dive right into the conversation. So I did a video, as I mentioned before, I did a video about this couple 2 weeks ago. That's Dej and Antoine. Um, I had to check for the name of the disease that they have, and it's actually called brittle bones disease. And ladies and gentlemen, I went as far as checking for pictures of this condition for different people, and oh my god, it is just really sad that there are people that are actually born that way. There are people that actually have to deal with that type of condition, for the rest of their lives. Guys, I cannot even imagine. I cannot imagine the quality of their life. I cannot imagine how they feel. I don't know, but it was just really sad to see. And it was also quite shocking because growing up, I remember having seen maybe one or two situations like that. And I just did not really know. Like, okay, probably with my child's mind, I did not really understand what it really was, And so now, as an adult, going back to go and check what this disease is really all about, guys, it's really sad. It's really sad. And it's made me ask a lot of questions like, how did these people turn out to be this way? What sort of genetic condition is that it just, oh my god, guys, it's crazy, and that is the reason we're having this conversation today. We want to enlighten one another. I want to learn more. I do not really have a lot of information about this, but we want to learn more. Now, that aside, let's go on to the internet reaction to Dej and Antoine's situation. Yes. So there's a huge backlash on this couple. A lot of people are angry at both of them. Dej and Antwon, they are very popular TikTok users, content creators. They have the same genetic condition. Antwon is the guy. Antwon's one is actually more severe than Dej's situation. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, it is so sad because thank God that they actually have caregivers. They have their families, they have their friends and loved ones that actually tend to them. But it is still a very sad situation because even as adults that they are ridden to the electric chairs that they use, almost entirely dependent on that chair for mobility. You know, they want to move around. It's literally the chair. You know, sometimes you wonder, oh, how do they have their bath? How do they use the restroom? How do they do number one? How do they do number two? And the bulk of the question, you know, in regards to this recent scandal of them having their baby, a lot of people were asking, how did they even get pregnant? How did Dej carry that pregnancy? You know, how did she deliver? Guys, it's a whole lot. When you see the pictures of these couple, I mean, it's right there on my thumbnail. It will pose you to ask a lot of questions because it's almost unreal. You can't really imagine, to be very honest. You know, so a lot of internet users actually very upset with this people. You know, there's been a lot of questions asked out there that knowing fully well that they are struggling with their condition because indeed they're actually struggling. You know, a lot of times people come onto social media and they post whatever they like. You know, some people they create that escapist reality for themselves, you know, where they are not necessarily happy with their situation in life, but then social media sort of creates that safe haven for them to, you know, pretend that all is actually well. So people actually, you know, assuming that, okay, obviously from the look of things, their life is not easy. Their quality of life is a struggle. Even though they make money from social media, of course, but their quality of life is a struggle. Their life is not easy. So why then did they decide? Why then did they decide to get pregnant and have a child? Why did they decide to bring a child into this world, knowing fully well that there is 100% chance of that child having the same genetic condition that they have? That's the major question people are asking. People are asking, were they trying to gamble with life? Were they trying to gamble with their genes? Were they trying to gamble with fate? Were they deciding to, you know, gamble with the possibilities of what is now a reality? Or were they just being selfish, you know? Which brings us to the other argument that people have. A lot of people actually believe that they decided to go ahead to have a baby because they wanted to have more props for content creation. So people are seeing this new baby as one of their props for, you know, content creation. You know, like it's going to create a lot of traffic. It's going to cause a lot of engagement. People will definitely want to know about their life. People will definitely want to know about how they were able to get pregnant, how they had a baby, which is already happening because people are actually asking a truckload of questions. People are, you know, presuming that they went ahead with this decision because they know that just as social media thrives on controversy, on sensationalism, they know that they will make a lot of money. They will gain a lot of traction, you know, from people's curiosity. Internet users are very, very curious people. They see a trend, they jump on the trend, they want to find out what is going on with that trend. And especially because of how they are, you know, they are not entirely complete as humans. So people will definitely want to find out how this baby will grow up, how they'll be able to cater to this baby, and how this baby will grow up, and what this baby will look like in the long run. You know, so a lot of people see it as a selfish, futuristic plan that they have created. They concocted that plan and they brought that plan to life. And people's anger generally now is that as much as they took that selfish decision, at the end of the day, it is the baby that will suffer for it. Because according to a lot of people, looking at how Dej and Antwon's life is not entirely easy, like a regular normal adult's life will be, that baby, because the baby has been diagnosed to have the same kind of disease that they have. So people's speculation is that baby that baby would not have an easy life. Yes, the baby might have a lot of helps around, a lot of caregivers, a lot of technologically advanced tools and equipments and whatever to aid their movement around, just to create that ease of life. But then the reality still stands that the baby might not entirely be happy with their life. So, ladies and gentlemen, the conversation is broad. It's broad. Personally, I have looked at their situation and I wasn't actually surprised. Okay, someone is saying, no one is saying the child could probably not have it. Well, I think about a month ago when I checked, turns out that the child actually has it. Yes, so it's just a matter of time for the child to grow, and then it will become very obvious if the child is going to entirely suffer from it or not. Yeah, but as I was saying, when I saw the story, quite frankly, I wasn't really shocked. I wasn't really surprised because I've actually seen cases. And on the video I put out, 2 weeks ago about the same story, I cited examples, of some that I have seen in Nigeria. I cited an example of a woman who is deaf and dumb, goes ahead to marry someone who is deaf and dumb. And because the woman wasn't born deaf and dumb, the woman was born with all of our um like complete. The woman was born complete, hearing complete, speaking complete. And then I think that the woman was about 3 years old or 4 years old or thereabout, before she caught the sickness, and then she became deaf and dumb ever since. So she got married to a guy who is deaf and dumb, and then she has 6 babies now, and none of her children are deaf and dumb. They all can speak, they all can hear perfectly. None of them has any disability, none of them has any problems at all. And this woman is really excited for herself, and she's really proud of herself. If she has a way, she would want to have more babies, because for her, it was mostly about trying to prove to the world that even though she's deaf and dumb, she can also have a normal baby, like a baby that is not deaf and dumb like her. So there's another case. I mean, this one actually went well for her. But there's another case where the woman is actually normal, but apparently there's a genetic condition running in their family. And so she goes ahead to have a child, and the child turned out to be autistic. And then she had another child, and that second child is exactly like the first child. And she goes ahead to have 4 more. Is it 4? I think she has, okay, 2 more. So she has 4 children, and they are all autistic at the most extreme spectrum, you know. So sometimes you would wonder that, is it that some people who are aware that they actually have these conditions, is it that they are not very considerate of the child that they're about to bring into the world? Is it that they are so consumed with trying to prove to the world that they too are capable of producing their own people? When people have babies, they call them, oh, I've made my own people, I've made my own country, I've made my own nation. So is it that they are so consumed with trying to make their own people that they forget the repercussions for those children in the long run? You know, I was thinking from the angle of, well, I don't know how it feels for women, especially, to want to experience parenthood motherhood. I don't know how it feels, but then I find it very strange when, you see a lot of women, no matter the condition that they find themselves, they still crave to have their own babies, no matter whatever it is that they are actually struggling with or dealing with. So, ladies and gentlemen, this conversation is open officially. I would love to hear from everybody. I would love to get into your minds. Let's talk about it, okay? So, I'm sharing the link to this conversation in the comments section. Go ahead, click on it, and let's talk. I would love to hear your thoughts, your own perspective about this whole situation. Do you think Dej and Antwon were actually selfish to have disregarded their condition, but to have gone ahead to get pregnant and have a child? Do you think they were actually selfish, or do you think that was a brave move from them? Disregarding societal concerns, disregarding their own medical concerns, disregarding their lives issues, and still deciding that, oh, this is the right thing for us to do. Let's make babies. Do you think they did the right thing? Or do you think they were just plain inconsiderate to this child? Do you think they were actually selfish? What are your thoughts, guys? Go ahead and click in the comment section below. Let's discuss. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and check out your comments. Eskuku, I see you. You're especially welcome. In your bong, Otun, you are welcome. Welcome. Thanks for joining the conversation. Um, okay, Noel said, let me see. Noel said, I've seen both black and white couples while give birth to light skin and dark skin babies, and DNA test proved the kids are theirs. Yeah, I mean, that is actually different. We're actually talking about the extremity of disability in these couples. They are on TikTok. I think you need to check them out to really understand the gravity of the situation. It's a difference if they are just cripples or if maybe they just have one tiny little deformity. The deformity that Dej and Antoine have, it's a huge one. It's a very difficult one. When you watch their videos on social media, you feel you feel worried, you feel concerned. You ask yourself, how are these people coping? How are they surviving? So it's that extreme. Hence the reason people are actually very concerned. Okay, we have Queen Omo. Hi Queen, you're welcome to the conversation.
Hey, love, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so where do I start this conversation? Being based in America,
Yeah.
um, actually, that's one of the things because so I'm gonna start my PhD soon, and I'm about to. That's one of the research I want to actually do. So it was interesting for me to see this conversation. Being raised in America, when I tell you, babe, when you see a lot of these kids, a lot of them are disabled. Is it
Hmm.
autism? Is it ADHD? Is it a genetic disorder? Is it this and that and it's a lot. You get what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
like for example, I have a coworker. I have a coworker, no, an ex-coworker. And
Hmm.
basically her son is disabled, like completely. Like
Hmm.
he's 19 now, but like she what's it called? Like when he's sick, she has to take him to the ICU. He be in the ICU. She takes off work. She has nurses. She cannot. But when she was talking, because me, I like to ask questions because I like to
Hmm.
ask like, how did we get here? She was like, oh, when he was born, he was a normal baby, but then like at like age 5 he developed brain tumor, and they did the surgery, and then ever since then he's been disabled, like he can't talk or do nothing for himself.
Wow.
And she said that looking at the genetic testing, she says that looking at the genetic testing of her baby father, brain tumor and stuff like that and disability runs in his family, not
Whoa.
hers. You get what I'm saying? Which
Hmm.
is why, which brings me to my point of, at this day and age, where at this day and age where there's so much disability, there's so much autism, everything like that, I feel like it is selfish. Couple of things, 3 points I want to make. I think it's selfish for a couple. Let me tell you something. If anybody wants to marry for love, God will punish you. Let me respect myself and say that. I will say that with my full chest. And
Thing.
no, and the reason why I say that is because if you think, oh, I love this person, and you don't do the needful, like, I need couples to start doing genetic testing. I need to know what you have in your family and what I have in my family, because I feel like a lot of these diseases are just, what's it called? It's generational. Like, I have a boy right now. I know a boy. He has schizophrenia. He's a Nigerian boy. He has schizophrenia. Come to find out his grandpa has it. And I'm just like, none of your parents could do the findings of that before.
Hmm.
Now, if Uncle don't take his medicine for 1 week, he's in the mental institution ready to kill somebody. These are
Wow.
the things I'm talking about. Like, parents need to start doing. So, like, I know, because this day and age, what's it called? Health is not something to joke with. And being a disabled parent, or what's it called, is not easy at all. I don't recommend it. But I need couples to sit together and be like, okay, in my family, we have diabetes. In my family, we have high blood pressure. In my family,
Mhm.
we have such and such, and do it and sit down and know that if you want to do this journey called life, because a lot of these diseases are hereditary and could have been prevented. That's number one. Number two, I think it's highly selfish and a disservice when parents are told while the child is still in the womb that there's a disability or there's an issue, and they say they're gonna take it to God instead of them to do the needful. There is nothing more that I hate in this entire life than having a child, and then they already told you from the onset that the child will be disabled, and you didn't abort the child or get rid of the child, and then the child is in this life suffering. That bothers me, because it brings the point of, why are you selfish? You get what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
don't think you understand. Like, let me give you a case in point. And I'm tired of Nigerians. I'll use Nigerians in particular. I'm tired of Nigerians thinking prayer can solve everything. I know that God is a miraculous God, but not everything. Let me give you a story. When I was 13 years old, I broke my leg. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
I broke my leg. I went roller skating. Somebody pushed me. I broke it in 10 places. I went
Hmm.
to the hospital. I went to the hospital. Immediately, the doctor saw it. The doctor said, you have to get surgery. My father said, no, my daughter will not get surgery. We must pray it out. He said, okay, be back in 2 months. My sister, with 2 months, it got worse.
Wow.
I still had to have the same surgery. But if we would have taken, instead of what to just say, God will heal her, what's it called? She will not have surgery. Instead, they said, God will give her speedy recovery, and change the prayer point. You wasted my time for 2 months. That's why I'm trying to tell you, babe, it is selfish for a parent in this day and age, because I don't think you understand. These disabled kids, some of them cannot talk. They can't do stuff for themselves. There are some kids that are getting childhood. I just found out there's something called childhood autism. I mean, Alzheimer's. Imagine where a child 5 years old can never remember anything ever again, and the child is still alive.
Hmm.
But these are things that I could have been prevented, because, Kenny. And another thing is that having disabled kids, that shit is expensive.
It
It is
is.
very expensive, especially in America, where America has made their whole personality. And what's it called? I need people to understand the medical system in America is a $1 billion industry. If you have any problem, they're ready to give you medication because they know they're getting paid for it. That stuff is expensive. So I need parents to understand that. I understand that everybody wants to have beautiful kids, beautiful names. Sometimes you have to do. I'm not. I don't like abortion. I'm not. But I don't like kids suffering. I don't like kids suffering. I don't like kids suffering. It breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart, especially when their child is in pain, getting abused, getting mistreated, and you cannot help them, or you cannot even say anything or do anything. It is selfishly to know where you will bring a child into this where the child is disabled, and you decide to go along with it because you want the child. It's selfish because nobody wants to suffer in this life. I surely don't, and I don't want anybody I care for to suffer. And I feel like parents don't understand that. They think, what's it called? When some parents, when they, I heard it, what's it called? One of my friends was telling me, okay, one of somebody she knows, they got an autism diagnosis. Where this child has autism from, what's it called? The woman started praying, went to church and started praying and stuff like that. And she came back to me, she was like, the child is healed. And I'm just like, are we sure about this? Because they literally said the boy can never talk in life. Did he start talking? She said no. So I'm confused. Wait, how did the healing come about?
Queen, let me ask you this here. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, all these things you're saying, glaringly, they make a lot of sense. However, some people, not just Nigerians to be honest, but some people will query your way of thinking. They will say, okay, if we keep doing family checks and background checks about the people that we love and would want to settle down with, and then the result comes out, oh, negative, that oh, we cannot be together. So who do we leave those people for? Are we saying those people should never ever find love? Don't they have a right to be happy despite the fact that they have those hereditary issues? Is it that they don't have the right to be happy?
Oh,
So how would you respond to that?
okay. So listen, I'm a lover's girl. I'm a big pain hard girl, but with the right person, I'm a big lover girl. But one thing in this life that people need to understand is that there are some tough decisions sometimes that need to be made. You get what I'm saying? That need to be made. Like, for example, let me give you a perfect example. I have a friend right now. Uncle disappeared on me last year. December last year was the last time I spoke to him until 2 days ago. And I called him. And I was like, motherfucker, where have you been? He was like, bruh, I've been in Canada. He lives in America. He's like, I've been in Canada. My siblings have been sick because out of 5 siblings, 4 of them are sickle cell
Wow.
and they are bad. It's not like those, that there's some sickle cell warriors that like you will not even be able to tell. These ones
Mhm.
are losing eyesight. These ones are
Wow.
sick. These ones are drastically, and he's the firstborn.
Oh,
So he literally was in Canada for 6 months
wow.
taking care of his siblings, all 4 of them.
Four is a lot.
Oh, exactly. Now, that kind of situation, person that never born, he has never born one, no. You're now telling him because there was a girl he was dating. There was a girl he was dating. He loved her. They dated for like 10 years. He had to let her go recently because she was AS2, and he's AS. He was like, I can't do it. He was like, I love you, but I can't do it because I see it in my front now. There's sometimes that see, that's the thing. May we not have problem that you forget that you even have a partner to love because you are catering to that problem. Let me be very honest with you. It sounds good when people, that's the thing, people might think, wait, I'm taking the realistic approach because I'm in the medical field of America. I see when I tell you, wait, there's some diseases that are coming out, okay? Illnesses that are coming out, disabilities that are coming out, that even scientists, they're saying that where is this coming from? Like, how the hell does a child have autism and ADHD together? I'm like, huh? On what grounds? It's just a lot of things. I feel like at this point, let me tell you something. At this point, medication is expensive. A what's it called? A breathing machine for a child is expensive. Diapers for an adult child is expensive. May that never be anybody's portion. But at the same time, we have to be realistic. I'm not saying that people cannot get love, but sometimes then listen, if I have schizophrenia in my family line and this one has dementia, 2 plus 2 equals what? 4. I don't advise that couple to marry. Now, if you want to marry, you better be praying. You better be going to what's it called, redemption camp every year. All the programs they have. You better go to Pastor Suleiman. You better go to Oyedipo and start praying, because you will be surprised who has it. Like,
Hmm.
for example, let me give you a perfect example. In my family, twins run in my family. My mom is a twin. My dad is a twin. I have a lot of twin aunties. Now, if I was to have a baby, would twins be a surprise for me? No, because it's in my family line.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we need to think about. It sounds good. I know that God can move mountains and God has seen a lot of kids through, but it's not every kid that will be healed, especially the ones that are badly disabled. That's why I'm trying to tell people that it's a very selfish that you can do something about it, and you can't. Now if you, what's it called, and now if you can't, that's understandable. But being a disabled mom or dad is a lot. It's a
Hmm.
freaking lot. You will not even have time for yourself. I was just watching something this morning. This lady said that she has twins and they're both disabled. And I'm like, I beg your pardon?
Hmm.
Not even talk of one, two. So love is a beautiful thing in the words of the band. It is. But realistically speaking, all this baby girl lifestyle we are living with a disabled child, you will not live that life.
Hmm.
Nurses will be coming up and down. Nurses will be coming. They have shifts. There's some kids that have disability. There's this lady. Her child has, because me, I be watching videos. This lady has a disabled child. The child cannot sleep at all. The child is awake 24/7. They have a nurse constant that has to stay with the child. And if there's no nurse, the parents have to do it. Me, I like my sleep. Oh, I try to get 15 hours if I can. Now imagine having a child that you cannot even get 1 hour.
All
But
right,
we're saying,
let me ask S Kuku a question. S Kuku, you're welcome to the conversation. Queen, please stay on the conversation. Kuku, I want to ask, yeah, um, because still within this conversation, this Dej and Antoine's genetic condition, there's also the argument that, well, they are a couple, so it is normal for them to make babies. So the question now is, must a couple have a child, knowing fully well that they have a certain sort of hereditary condition or maybe genetic condition? Must they have a child? Do children define the union? Do children really legalize, the union? What are your thoughts as one who is married yourself?
One thing I can thank you so much, Glory, and thank you for talking about this because the community definitely needs a lot of awareness on this topic.
Yeah.
And one thing I can say for a fact is children do not define marriage. And also, you don't have to physically or biologically birth a child to be a mother.
Hmm.
And when it comes to Antoine and Dej's situation, one thing people need to understand is the reason behind the uproar to begin with. And this is because the condition they both have, a lot of genetic diseases are not all the same. Some are autosomal, some are sex linked. Autosomal
Hmm.
means it could be on any chromosome, it could be on, and you can just get it. And it doesn't, and the worst part of it is if it's dominant, which is the case for the Antoine and Dutch case. Their,
Hmm.
theirs is autosomal dominant, which means every child they have is going to have this condition. If it was
Whoa.
some, If it was something like sickle cell is also autosomal, but it's a recessive gene. So which means that some children, there's like 25% chance that if one person, if they both have like, if they are both carriers, one person could say one child could definitely have it, the other ones could probably be carriers, and one, there's a 25% chance that one is not going to have it. But in Dej and Antwon situation, they both have the osteogenesis imperfecta, which is autosomal dominant, which means all their children are going to have it.
Whoa.
So why should you put your child or bring forth a child into this world knowing that that child is going to be in that condition that you have? It's not like you are going to be physically care for the child. You're going to still depend on other people, which is why people are talking about it. If you wanted the
Hmm.
child so bad, you could have probably maybe gotten gone through adoption, or like they say sometimes, if they could have regardless, it doesn't matter even if they went with another person who doesn't have the gene, because it's an autosomal dominant, the child will still have it.
Huh?
So at this
Hmm.
point, it doesn't even matter. They
Hmm.
should have known. Most times when you have certain genetic conditions, you need to go through a lot of genetic testing. That's why it's not for poor. Like they say, sometimes some things are not for poor people, oh, because you need to do a lot of genetic testing, which costs
My
money.
sister, talk about it. Continue. I'm enjoying your
You
talk.
need
Talk
to do a lot of genetic testing. You need
down.
to
Hmm.
you need some They prefer for you to even do IVF, because they can even test the embryos to make sure that they don't have the gene before they even implant it. There's a
Ma,
lot
Hmm.
that needs to go in the background before you bring forth a child and impose this condition on that child. That child did not ask for you to bring them to the world.
Hmm.
So for you to put you as Dej and Antoine situation, they are stuck in that I don't know if it's a scooter or the wheelchair, the motorized wheelchair thing, and
Hmm.
that's all their life. That's all they're going to have to depend on another person to take care of them for the rest of their life. So which means, do they want to what quality of life do they want for their child? It's one thing for you to make peace with it, but you are making that decision for a child that has not made peace with it, has not decided that I want this for myself.
Hmm.
You can be a mother in so many ways. You don't have to carry that child in your own womb to be able to say I am a mother. I understand the the the, the urge to want to carry your own child, which is what probably happened in this case.
Hmm.
But you have to think of the bigger picture. It's not just about you. And when I think when I listened to like the case where you mentioned about the deaf and dumb,
Yeah.
the family that you talked about, most
Yeah.
hearing and uh, hearing loss is sex linked. Sex linked genetic diseases are very rare, very very rare. Um, those ones because it has to take a lot of the chance of it happening is very rare. So most times when you have a sex-linked genetic disease, sometimes some people take a chance on it and say, you know what? And it's not only sex-linked, but it's a recessive gene, which means that if you are with someone who doesn't have the gene at all your children will be fine.
Hmm.
So
This is
either
interesting.
way, it's like you have to always know what your genetics, what composition you have. You have to definitely know. We are in a day and time where we cannot use ignorance as an excuse anymore. There's a
bam.
lot of genetic testing done in a lot of hospitals, even in Africa now, that you should be able to even go and even get something done. Even as basic as just not only the sickle cell that is generally done, like most people do, but do a lot more than just sickle cell. Like I think what's the other speaker's name? I forgot. She mentioned something which was very
Queen.
yes. She mentioned something that was very vital. It's like there's a lot out here from between diabetes, between hypertension, between even the a lot of case of the autism, ADHD. All these things are all hereditary, and you have to be able to do set to know what your genetic compositions are. It could be Alzheimer's. You could have that family member or that family member back in the day that you know that maybe they used to have dementia or forgetfulness, and it was just not diagnosed. But maybe that could maybe push you to say, you know what, let me go check it and see if I have that gene, or let me just look into this.
Hmm.
There is a
So, Kuku,
yes.
Coco, so there's another line to this argument, as much as Dej and Antoine have been receiving a lot of backlash, there are also people that are sort of supporting them, saying that because they are content creators, obviously they are making a lot of money from all the social media platforms where they create content. So people are saying that, oh, you can't really advise a rich person on how to cater to their family, that, oh, since they have money, they can actually hire as much help and assistance as they need, to train that baby and raise the child. And if they want to have more children, they can go ahead. So, and the question to you, I know you're in the medical field as well. Do you think money is enough to actually give proper quality of life to a child like that from parents like that?
No.
What quality of life are they looking for? That child is
Down.
never going to play with his classmates or friends. That
Down.
child is also going to be confined to the same state of his parents
Down.
or her parents. And it's so sad that they are not looking at the bigger picture. It's really, really sad because you can have all the money in this world, but you cannot buy good quality of life for that child. That that child having all the nannies is not going to make that child be able to do what other children do. Maybe for Antoine and Dej, it doesn't matter to them because they don't know what it is, because they have probably never experienced childhood.
Hmm.
And I don't know if they were homeschooled or they went to public school or and things like that. Anyway, there's also in the US there's also special needs school where everybody in the school has some kind of disability. So when you are in that's probably maybe where they met. You never know. When you are in such environment, you feel like everybody is like you, but that doesn't that doesn't change the fact that what you are making a decision for yourself, but you are now making a decision for a child who cannot speak for himself.
Hmm. Okay.
And
Thank you so much,
also,
Cousin. Yeah.
personally
Yeah.
speaking, I feel like, and I don't know why these countries have not done it. I don't think disabled people should be able to be reproduced. I'm sorry. Let's call a spade a spade. Somebody with that form of nobody with disability. Autism and ADHD is debatable because there's levels to it. You get what I'm saying? But if
Mhm.
you are wheelchair bound, your spouse is wheelchair bound, and it's in both your genetics disposition, they should have made them infertile to begin with. Because why are you having a kid? Why? Because let me make something clear to you too. Those people with those kind of genetic disposition, they don't live long. Majority of them don't live to 90 or so. So now when you die and you probably don't even know the ins and out of a regular life because you've never lived a regular life. Your life consists of doctor visits and stuff like that. Then now when you die, the child becomes the responsibility of the state or the country that they're living in. And I just don't understand, like, does it not make people sad? I mean, I'm pretty sure it makes people sad that they have a disabled child that cannot play like other kids are playing. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I
Mhm.
feel like I don't care how much money you have. It is very selfish and what's it called? Very selfish to bring a child into the same condition that you are. You literally live in your chair. People cater to you because you cannot do anything for yourself. Why would you want to bring a child into that?
Hmm. I
Even
want
at
to ask a question. Yeah. I want to ask a question. I'm glad you mentioned something about the children would now become property of the state if the parents are, maybe if they are dead. In the comment section of most of their videos, you see a lot of people complaining that they are ripping off taxpayers' money in America, that most of the money that even Dej and Antoine are surviving on, that it is being given to them by the state. I don't know how true that is.
Okay, I
Is it
can I can
true?
break it down to you. Okay, I can break it down to you. Okay, so basically I worked in the system before in that category. Okay, so in America, right? When
Mm,
somebody is disabled, like a disabled, like I mean like serious disability, no, like autism. Autism is a disability too. So let's just say somebody is disabled. They have something called SSI, which is supplemental income. It's not SSA. There's two portions. SSDI is retirement, basically, or if you're disabled and you just retired early. But
mm,
SSI is basically for disabled people. So every month they apply for this thing. Every month they get, like, last time when I was still working there, it was like $918. You get what I'm saying? But
mm,
now with the increase and everything, I'm pretty sure it's like 1,000 now. So they get that standard every month. And then they also qualify for like health insurance and stuff. They qualify for health insurance and things like that. A great point of this, the greatest point of this is, so my what's it called? My ex-boyfriend used to work for this company. He used to work for a disabled company, like a group home. And his boss told him one day that before he created his own group home, he used to work for this company. And this guy was disabled. He was disabled, and his parents were millionaires. So when they
mm,
died, they left all the money to the child to get proper care. So the well, so when I so now what had happened was, every year, according to his trust fund and the will, there has to be a percentage of money. I think it was like 1 million that they have to spend on him a year. So like,
mm.
they, when it's coming to the end of the year, they're just like, bruh, we still have this much money. So their uncle was going on vacation. So his workers were going on vacation. People really loved working for him because you enjoy the great life. You get what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because of the money. So that's just a rare case. Not everybody is rich, but property of the state. I mean, what's it called? With disabled people, the group homes that they live in, some people that go to group homes, some people that live at home, we pay for that. You get what I'm saying? We pay for
Mm,
that. We have nurses that come, they pay for these things. So like, they're not wrong when they're saying that, because you have to look at the thing. When did they become content creators? When did they become content creators? Because for a long time, they might probably still be living on the state. And I know that SSI, once you start to work or when you have income, they cut it. They might cut it permanently or to a certain amount. You get what I'm saying? But
mm,
all the remaining things, like, oh, nurses coming to your house, all those things are still being covered by the state, by each, because each individual state has their own policy, and each individual state has their own madness. So like, some states are easy, some states are not. So like, but they provide a lot of things, and that is how group home people make money. So in a group home, so okay, so let me break it down to you. So in a group home, right, let's just say somebody, okay, let's just say I have a client, and they give me, let's just say for that client, they say $50 an hour is what we're going to be paying you around the clock for 24 hours for an hour, $50 per hour. What
mm,
group home people do is they hire people to do the job, and they're probably paying them like $20 an hour, and they
mm.
pocket the remaining 30. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's how they do it. That's why most group home is a business here. It's a group home full of disabled people. That's a business. Like, I have a couple uncles that have that. They are millionaires because they are getting paid from the government and everything like that, and they have the workers. But yeah, so technically speaking, they are the they are the responsibility of their state. They pay for everything. They pay for their nurses. They pay for their wheelchair. They pay for everything. They pay for everything. Disabled people even have buses that come and pick them up. Like the ones that can walk a little bit, they have buses that will pick them up. So like, it's a very lucrative business in America. Just know that
Transportation and everything. Everything.
everything is a business. Like,
Wow.
America is crazy in that aspect of, Everything is a bit like, if you think you can make money from a lot of things in America, that transportation one, you can make money. So it's just like, that's just how it is. They are the So if anything ever happened to TikTok, social media, everything, the state will still take care of them.
So I have another question for both of you. I mean, guys, those of you that are listening to to this conversation, please feel free to join. The link is in the comment section. All right. Okay. So I have a question. Yeah. Oh my God! Look at Ice Coco. Yes. So the question I have is this: it's about their rights, their fundamental human rights. A lot of people who claim that they can relate with Dej and Antoine, and also people that actually are heavily disabled, they say, what is wrong with disabled people having the right to procreate? Why can't they exercise their own basic fundamental human right to procreate, have as many babies as they want, just like every other human being? And this is because a lot of people were, bashing them for not adopting maybe pets. Some people are asking, why did you just, if you were feeling lonely, why didn't you just get a dog, get a cat, get a pet in the house? Why did you have to bring a baby into this world to use as your form of amusement or entertainment? So it's the thing about rights. Let me ask this one to Eskuku. Eskuku, what do you think about that argument about their rights?
Everyone, yes, you have a right to have your children. But at some point, there should be a bigger reason to that overrides that your right that you have, and this should be one of them. You might have a right to bring a child into this world, but why bring a child into this world who is going to be in the same condition? If not, you don't even know how the child is even going to handle the condition.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know. Sometimes some people, the mental torture that some of these disabilities put on these patients is even sometimes worse than the disease itself.
Mm-hmm.
So why try to put a child not only through that physical condition that they have, but also through the mental part of it, the psychological torture that this child is going to have because of your selfish reasons, be it for your need to feel like a mom, or be it for your few clicks that you want to have as a content creator, all is still selfish.
Hmm.
There is not there you can there's no other way you can. I don't understand why why it should be said you should a right comes into this situation. Everybody has a right to free speech, but that doesn't mean. But when you go do say something that can defame someone, you can get prosecuted for it. Yes, you have a right to speech, but that doesn't mean that you should just use it anyhow you want, right? That should be in the same
Mm-hmm.
situation as this. You have a right to say have your children, but that doesn't mean it is in every situation that you should.
Hmm. Okay. I have this question for Queen. Queen, earlier when you were speaking, you mentioned something about, when a woman is pregnant, goes for all the checkups, and they detect that something is wrong, she could easily just do an abortion instead of allowing that child to be born and having to go through all of that struggle in life. Some people are going to bring in this argument of morality, like, oh, if you are killing a child, abortion is wrong. All the arguments in America and all of that. Um, Question is, how will a woman, aside all the checks and everything, say a woman has gone through checks and all, and there was nothing wrong, and then the person births the child, and then they begin to notice things, because I've seen videos on social media where the woman actually claims that all through her pregnancy they did not notice anything, nothing was detected, and then a week or two afterwards the baby either goes blind or goes deaf, or maybe the bones are not structuring properly. you know what do you think happened in those regards, and Do you think the person should still go ahead and get rid of the baby?
Um. Okay. So, in as much as I want to say, Gary, I mean, I'm for, like, okay. So, how do I explain this? Let me put my thoughts together. In as much as I'm, because being a disabled parent is not easy. I'm not a parent. I don't have no kids. I can't imagine. What's it called? I can't imagine it. But like, to be honest with you, I feel like not every situation can allow an abortion, because you know that there's sometimes where somebody is 6 months and that's when they find out, wait, oh, a child's gonna have disability. You get what I'm saying? It's not right
Mm,
away. In those kind of
yes.
situation, you can't really do much, but you just have to hope for the best. I'm
Mm,
talking about there's some disabilities that from the first scan they can tell you, wait, problem day. You get me?
mm,
That's the one that now brings the question, where that's when the doctor be like, it can still be, because there's some disabilities that doctors will recommend, where like, are you sure? Like, do you, like, are you sure? Like, do you sure you want to take this, carry this child to full term? They weigh out your options, and what you that becomes an option for you. You get what I'm saying? So
mm,
there are some situations where it bypasses the doctor, and what's it called? It just happens. You get what I'm saying? And that one, you just accept the cards that you're dealt. But there's some situations that are so severe that they find out. Like, I think one that they find out very quickly is Down syndrome.
mm,
Down syndrome, to me, that one too get levels. You get me? That one too get levels. I see a lot of Down syndrome kids that are doing well. You get what I'm saying? But they're still
mm,
disabled. They just have that look. You get me? But like, that one too is an option.
mm,
Because there's a lady that I follow. She comes on my Explorer page. She recently had a baby, and the baby came out Down syndrome. And she was like, when she got the news, she decided to carry the child to full term. But she was like, I didn't have a happy pregnancy. Like, I was sad because my child is different. She has extra chromosomes. You get what I'm saying? That she's different. She was just like, even though my child is healthy, I think my child is perfect. She was like, I'm not oblivious to the fact that she has a disability. So whatever comes with it in the future, I have to accept it for myself. You get what I'm saying? Just
mm,
know people need to know that, okay, we're talking about babies that are disabled, but those babies that are disabled go into adults, and you're taking care of a disabled adult is a different ball games entirely. Like, you're changing diapers, you're doing a lot of things. It's not easy at all. So yeah,
mm.
that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for that,
And,
Queen. I was just
and just to
reading.
add to what Queen just said, one of the
Okay.
things that people need to know is like the amniocentesis for people that is done in pregnancy is done when you're almost 3 or 4 months pregnant.
Mm,
And by the time they do 3 or 4 months pregnant, at that time, most of the child is already formed.
Yep.
Or so a
mm,
lot of times it's difficult for the parent to now say, go
Mm,
ahead and do this DNC because I, that this child is. Some of them find it very difficult. I personally have a friend, one of my friends who was pregnant, and they did the test. One of it was the genetic condition. The doctor advised her that she needed to do a DNC because this child with the genetic condition, that child was not even going to live up to 1 year old, and she did not want to have a DNC. And just as predicted, that child did not even live up to 6 months.
mm,
And but it's difficult for a parent to say, I don't want to make this decision for this child, maybe because a lot of them say they don't, God is bigger than that disease. That's what they,
mm.
like my friend, that's what she said. And
Yeah.
they believe, they believe in the hope of God turning things around or changing the story of that child. The doctors might say this, but this is what she believes that God is going to turn around. And I do believe that, yes, God turns things around, but certain things, especially certain genetic conditions, is
Mm,
difficult to just, you cannot take a chance on certain things just for the sake of taking a chance. Sometimes you might take a chance and it turns out.
mm.
When
Wow.
it's already the station where the child is already has no hope for even a life,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes.
But a lot of moms do not want to have an abortion when they are told that of such things.
Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, S. Kuku. I was just reading AB's comment. Oh my God. And it's really heart wrenching. I'm just going to summarize what she wrote. She said her daughter is 18 years old now, and it's never been easy taking care of her daughter. According to her, during pregnancy, nothing was detected. Even, at the point of birth, the daughter had her first seizure when she was 6 months old. That is really sad. Said nothing was detected during my pregnancy or after birth until she was 6 months old. Oh my God, AB. I don't know. I think you are one of God's strongest soldiers.
No,
I wish
seriously.
you could. Honestly, I wish you could join this conversation.
Our
It
love
would
goes out
be,
to you, Abby. Yeah.
yeah, it would be nice to hear directly from you to share your experience. But if you're not ready to talk about it, it's fine. But hugs, and lots of love to you, Abby. I can't imagine how hectic it's been for 18 years. That's a long time. And you see, this thing we're talking about, guys, I think a lot of people have not really seen the extremity of deformity in children. Where I grew up, it was very common, very, very common. And this is another conversation we're going to have another day. There's this thing people used to say, even till now, people still say that, oh, for women who are 30 and above, if you don't have a child yet, if you're not married, just quickly go and get pregnant. Otherwise, your eggs are no longer useful. But then,
Geriatric pregnancy.
yeah, so but where I grew up from, you see a lot of young girls getting pregnant out of wedlock, and when they deliver their babies, the children grow up to become all these things that we're talking about now. Some of them are very deformed. Some of them, they call them imbeciles. It's just crazy. And then you wonder, but this person was just 15 when she was pregnant. Or this one was just 18. This one was just 20. So it goes on and on and on like that. And as I said, it's a conversation we're going to have another day, but you can imagine how hectic it is seeing a grown man or woman that's probably 20, 25, and they're not really looking like a normal adult should look like. But anyways, thank you so much, ladies.
Yeah, I'll be
Let's
back
quickly
later.
take you on
Let
this.
people talk.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Queen. Thank you so much, Eskuko. So we have
Thank you.
Fortune. Yeah. We have Fortune here. We have OV Man. Let's hear from Fortune. Fortune, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Glory, how
Welcome.
are you? Thank
I
you so
am
much.
okay.
I've learned so much from listening to these ladies speak because
Yeah.
I saw this. I saw this story. I listened to one of the videos you posted and it moved me, but because I don't have a lot of knowledge on these things, I reserved my opinion on it because I thought they're in the US. Surely they've been advised and maybe the doctor has said the child will come out okay, but hearing Kuku speak about this condition and the
Mm,
extremity of their own, and it's both of them, even without seeing a doctor, I don't know, the odds of the child coming out without some sort of condition are quite limited in this particular case. And
mm,
I don't want to be insensitive in my commentary, but I just want to say what's in my heart, how I feel about this. And I don't want to offend anyone by my views, right?
yes.
Personally, I think if you know, honestly, that a child is going to come into this world and suffer, like I'm procreation. If people want to have children, they must go right ahead and do it. But we also need to think of the other person because a child is a baby and becomes their own person much later. We need to think about
Yeah.
that life. If you think of the era that we are in now, where whoever gets a phone with a camera, makes content and thinks life is going to be easy, that's potentially some of the things that are propelling a lot of this very radical decision making. because people think, we will just monetize. We will monetize. There has to be a line that we draw in trying to monetize, especially content that's personal, that is
Exactly.
touching the lives of especially children that are not consenting to it. And I hope they bring about this a bill that prohibits people from using kids to make money. And by this, I'm not saying they are using the kids for money, but it's giving me the idea that if they told you the child is going to suffer and you cloud chase using that for whatever reason, I don't think this is right, because them publicizing it, because I then went to look for it, and it's
Mm.
over publicized in a way that's almost cloud chasing in a
Yeah.
way.
Yes. True.
And we need to safeguard these kids. A child needs to grow up in an environment where they are safe. They must make their own decision whether they want to go online or not to be put on there. But these are internet babies that the whole world is going to raise. So whenever they do a TikTok live, they'll be reading the comments on who's saying do this, who's saying do what, and doing
Mm.
GoFundMe every year. What is this? We stop
Sis.
thinking about the life of that person. Unless there's any other reason why they did this, I find this very selfish. To
Sis, do
tick
you
a
know
box.
the part that shocked me? Do you know the part that
Mhm,
shocked me? Now that you mentioned it, one video they did some weeks back, the guy, Antwon, was at the clinic with the baby. Apparently, the speculation is that they had to, the lady dead did not carry the baby up to full term. They said they had to remove the baby from her womb at 7 months or 6 months because she could not carry full term,
mhm.
because of how small she was. That's Dej herself, the woman carried her she was quite tiny, like a toddler. So they had to remove the baby, put the baby in an incubator, and carry the baby to full term in an incubator. And then there was this video the guy was doing, talking to the baby and telling the baby, "Don't worry, we're soon going to leave the hospital." They said they stayed together with the baby in the hospital for about 5 months or thereabout. And then the guy was doing the video saying, "Oh, they are looking for a home for the baby." And that caught me off guard because it made me wonder, like, I don't understand. Don't you people have a home already? Is it that
No,
you're homeless? You know?
the internet is going to provide.
Yes.
The internet is going to provide. I don't know. It looks to me, when I went to look at their thread, because I'm not big on TikTok, but I had to go for this to really see, because then I saw the trend. I was like, what is the hype? I can see why people are talking about it. I know firsthand from a very close person that I know that is raised a special needs person. They live in Wales. Their child is that very extreme case of, I think it's autism, but it's the kind that this child was homeschooled. But where they live,
Hmm.
they could actually take this child to a center. There is places where they say, if you don't have the skills to, or that thing to raise your own children, there's places where they keep kids like that, right? Where it's like a home for special kids,
Hmm.
kids with special
Hmm.
needs. But they stay there, and then you come and you visit and everything. So initially, for this lady, she decided she wanted to take care of her own child, right? So she decided,
Hmm.
her husband is well to do, he's got a very good career there, and she left work. And they also get paid some sort of amount because she's at home. I don't know what she gets paid, but she did not want to give a child away. What I don't know is whether they knew the child was going to be like this or not. I don't think they knew, but I actually want to come from the point of how difficult it's been to raise this child, right? She stayed with the kid. It's a boy. Bathing this child, everything is done for this child, every single thing, because he changes his mood just like that. I don't know the exact name of the condition, but anyway, the
Hmm.
child now is a teenager. Come see the fights, because the
Ah,
mother is not equipped for this, because she was not educated in managing this. It's so bad that they've actually had to restrain him sometimes because his mood just changes just like that. And he's big now. And he's big in the sense that he has not been active also because he stays in the house. So I think things like exercise, the walking back in school, he didn't do all that. So he's on the bigger side. She's really struggling with this child. And she's now failing to detach, because the conversations we have is, why don't you just take this child? Because there's places where you can now give them, because you are struggling with this. And she can't, she's failing to do it. But it's been hard. You can tell her life has just been this. Like Queen was saying, she doesn't exist. It's her and him. And they've got 2 other children that are now suffering from abandonment because she doesn't have time for them. I'm saying this to highlight how hard it is. It's all good and fun when the child is maybe small, you can still carry them in your hand. Now this child it's so difficult. And I feel for AB. AB has a child that she mentioned. I don't know how extreme this condition is, AB. It must be so hard. And I think it's one thing raising a person to adulthood and everything, but when we put all of these other things on top, it's extremely difficult. If we can spare it, Glory, where they tell you in advance, I personally think that if you go, there's this test that they do, right? Where they will tell you that this child is probably underdeveloped and this child is not going to is going to be a special needs child. I think maybe something should be done about it earlier if you know. I think it's difficult, as you mentioned. It must be hard. I'm not a mom, but I'm equally a mom through my siblings. I love those kids so much. I might as well be their mom. So I understand that attachment. It must be so hard when you're caring and they tell you that, no, this child is not going to be, is probably not going to live till the end of the year or whatever the case. It must be hard. But what's harder is watching this child being bullied. I know one, and let me tell you one other one. This lady I knew when I was in SA. So their first pregnancy, the doctor said, your child is underdeveloped. Only half the side is growing, the other side is not growing, and we need to do something. So the first child, the doctors dealt with that. And then when they got pregnant again, they were so traumatized by the first incident, they just did not go for those tests. They decided, you know what, we will bring our child without testing. We don't want to know, right? They have a kid, the kid is special needs. It is so difficult, like, to hear her talk about this when the child comes back from school, the bullying, it's really, really, really hard. So I think that if you know, I think we could spare the other person all of this. That's my personal view on this.
I totally agree with you, Fortune, because as I mentioned before, the environment where I grew up, these things was so common. You see a lot of kids that they don't look like you. And so as a child, you're looking at them and you're wondering, what is going on with you? You don't know, and then the bullying comes in, when you are in primary school or secondary school, and you see those ones that are badly raised, and then they are pouring sand or throwing stones at those ones that they feel are not perfect, that they are perfect, and you also find out that there's a lot of lack of enlightenment, lack of information, in that environment, because even the parents of those children that have these disabilities, they're not well equipped with information to even educate the people around them that, oh, this child is different. This is what is happening. They have no protection whatsoever over the child. And, because this whole situation originally is happening in America, that's the Dej and Antoine situation. So it seems like to some extent, they have a bit of covering. If you think about it, they have a bit of covering. Unlike this part of the world where there isn't adequate provision for such. I listened to Queen Omo talking about homes for kids like this. Over here, it's rare. It's rare. So families now have to deal with all of that burden. I'm sorry to use the word burden, but it becomes a burden because, especially families that are not financially stable enough, they just leave those children to just exist. The right education is not given, the right trainings for independence is not given. So I grew up seeing a lot of young adults or even grown adults like that were just there. And you're looking at them and you see that they are just left to themselves like that. So it's really sad. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Fortune. Thank you so much for sharing.
All right.
Yeah. Before we move on to OV Man, I want to give a shout out to AB. AB, thank you so much for your token, for the contribution to this channel. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And once again, I'm sending you so much love, so much light, sending you all the hugs that you need. Because I cannot imagine the amount of work you are doing with your daughter. So I'm sending you so much love and strength. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, guys, if you want to contribute to the conversation, please click the link in the comment section. All right. Let's speak with Ovi. Ovi, you're welcome. How are you?
Hello. Uh,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. You're welcome. How are you too?
Yes. Yeah, I'm fine. How are you too, Gloria? I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yes, and we appreciate this, topics you're bringing. I know quite a number of people probably still know you as the number one BB Ninja, I mean, Big Brother ambassador, online. So we want them to also open their minds and understanding to discuss other important things. So we want to be seen
Yeah,
uh, um, like during these kind of sessions, we have like maybe 1,000, even more um, people watching
yeah,
and participating. But please don't stop because it's
yeah,
growing. We are getting used to it now. It's yeah, and as much as the more you continue, the more we are getting used to it, and the more people are
yeah.
accepting it, and it will grow very much from there. I know they are
Yes.
waiting. Once
Thank
the
you.
Big Brother starts now, you will see 2,000 people watching. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for that.
yeah, yeah, yes. So it's a very good thing you're doing, and just keep it up. Uh,
Thank you.
well, I understand that people have different. I've seen most of the people commenting or speaking, kind of towing towards the line of uh, you know, people should consider before giving birth. And I understand that, to be honest, because it's not easy seeing people being bullied and
Yeah,
living their life in this kind of ways that you feel like they are going through a lot mentally, and it's a very cruel world that we are living in, and a
true.
lot of people, yeah, and a lot of people are very insensitive. Like you mentioned, some people are badly raised, and before they can't even like consider the other person's feeling or
Yeah,
what they're saying, how it's going to affect that person. But at the same time, what I feel is that we can't be overly. That's just my, of course, everything I'm saying is my opinion. We can't
yeah,
be overly sensitive to some of these things because the world itself is not perfect. It's not a perfect place,
true.
and most of the conditions or most of the people that we've heard of or seen that left this world in a very unpleasant way, kind of maybe some people that um, I don't know the word to use now because of YouTube. Some people that in Nigeria we say "buy." Some people that buy themselves,
Mm,
and some
mm,
people that did some of these things. If you look at these people, uh, majority of them or most of them are not having some of those physical defects that you can easily see. So
true.
it's to show you that the I would rather encourage people to to be more kind, and
Mm,
some of these things, in fact, even if we are going towards the medical conditions and all that, if you do just a simple research, you discover that like for me, I have a little bit of not so much, just a little knowledge in this area,
mm,
of just a little. And if you do a research, you'll discover that the leading cause of death among people, the people that are dying prematurely, is probably something like I think there's a condition called the ischemic heart disease, ischemic stroke,
Mm,
and just these cardiovascular diseases, and it's also transferred genetically, kind of, but sometimes it's
mm,
not. And in a condition like that, how will the parents, no scan can detect that, for example, because the doctor will tell you that maybe, maybe not. You know, you might come out with your grandfather's strong immune system. It doesn't have to come with your, something like that. So in a situation like that, you can't tell. And there are other factors that affect the formation of a child in the womb. For example, everybody
mm,
knows that you're not supposed to be an alcoholic. Alcohol does that. Smoking does that. When you're carrying a pregnancy, you shouldn't be smoking, drinking alcohol, stuff like that. So if a parent, for example, does all of that,
mm.
eating maybe the wrong things, doing some things that can affect the formation of that baby, you can't
Yes.
now go ahead and say, oh, you go and hold the child responsible for that. And even they will always tell you that there's the highest amount, the highest possibility a doctor will tell you is maybe 50%. So imagine that
Mm,
somebody is like, okay, because of 50% chance, uh, I will take off this baby, or I wouldn't do that at all, you know. So my point is, people, I would rather
mm,
feel like we should focus more on maybe preaching kindness and understanding that this world where nobody is perfect, whether physically or mentally. Some people look, you can see someone with even 6 packs, even if possible 7 packs, if there's anything like that. Then you see the with all the physical um attributes that everybody is praising online, and that person is not well mentally, you know.
mm.
Then all of a sudden you hear that this person has by themselves. So you ask
True.
yourself, with the way this person is looking and all the, why couldn't he? That's because that's psychological. So,
Mm,
and we can't be overly sensitive. People are being bullied for a lot of things.
yeah.
For example, Michael Jackson's spoke about how he was bullied a lot for the size of his nose while he was growing up. That's somebody that he went on to become the greatest, entertainer to ever do it. And that thing made him affected his thinking in the way that he went to do nose, nose procedures and all that. So some people can be bullied for the way their eye looks. Somebody might have a little larger eyes, and they are bullied for that by their friends. So, like, what I'm
Mm,
trying to say is that if you look around, you discover that there's a lot of, that's how the world is, unfortunately. There's so much imperfection all around us.
mm,
And we cannot, if a doctor is telling you that there's a 50% chance, that's not enough, in my own opinion, to now say, okay, you're not going to have that child, or you're not going to take that step. What if the
mm,
child comes out and have immune? That one cannot be discovered by the scan. That, oh, this child will be we have immune problems, or there are some other things you can tell. Even the SS and the AAs, the genotype cannot be discovered
mm,
through the scan. It can only be discovered. It can only be maybe prevented, and there's a chance, for example, if a person with an SS person and maybe an AA or an AS person comes together, it's not like all their children are going to be SS. One out of three
true.
at the list. One out of three.
Mm,
So now the one that you're saying you're going to probably not have, what if that's the one that is coming out as AA? So my point is, I understand that unless maybe to be honest, in my own, I just feel like I wouldn't support that, that kind of thinking of, um, make that decision before the child is born. Obviously, you should make that decision before the act.
Hmm.
If you feel like this person must give you, will give you this and that, then don't go and do it. Don't get the child, the unborn child, into that quagmire of trying to. You might take out the child, you might, but you shouldn't get to that level. And at the
Hmm.
same time, I feel like I would just end by saying that, we should teach our world, and we should push for respecting people. People, everybody don't look the same. Look at the way the Asians look. They have their unique looks. Nothing is wrong with it. The way some Africans look, they have their unique Africans. Everybody don't look the same. There's something,
Hmm.
somebody can just be bullied for having, I don't know, gap tooth. Gap tooth that in some societies it's considered a sign of beauty. Maybe in another setting it's considered, like they can use it to mock that person. So
Hmm.
we shouldn't be overly sensitive, because bullying exists no matter how you look. Somebody can find
Hmm.
something to pick on you. Somebody can still find something to pick on you about. So we can't be overly sensitive. If not, nobody will reproduce at all. Because some people are
Hmm.
even saying, even apart from this topic now of the genetic disease, some people are even saying they will not have kids because of the world is mean, and because
Hmm.
there's and that has nothing to do with genetic conditions or diseases. So I would just say that we should be kind, and not be overly too sensitive. We don't live in a perfect world, but we can all respect people and treat everybody with respect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Ovi. Thank you so much. I totally
yeah.
agree with you that the world
Mhm.
needs to practice more kindness. And, from all you said, I mean, clearly, this conversation, there are a lot of angles to it, there are a lot of steps to it. I love the fact that you mentioned that people should be able to make up their mind about what they want, with regards to having a child at the point of inception. So it makes me wonder, like, using our case study still, Dej and Antoine, makes me wonder that could it be that they just decided by themselves to have a baby without doing any medical consultations? Because there are people like that actually know that they have conditions, extreme ones at that, and they just decide that, well, God is in control. So no consultations, no doctor's advice. They don't go for all of these things. They just decide, fine, let's just have a baby. Let's try it. And if we have, fine. If we don't, fine. And they just decide to go ahead. I say it makes me wonder, was there any consultation done, before this whole thing started? Yeah. And there's also the other part where, okay, the baby has arrived. They've had the baby. The baby is here now. A lot of people are angry. A lot of people are accusing them of all sorts, as I've mentioned before. So, what do people want them to do? Do people want them to throw away the baby and say, fine, you birthed what you cannot manage, what you cannot take care of, because you cannot take care of it? So, do they throw away the baby? And I think that is where what you're talking about, kindness, comes in. The video I did about this originally, I mentioned that the baby is here already. And at this point, people have no choice but to just be nice, just be kind. Because the baby is here now, we cannot send the baby back. The baby is not going anywhere. So, yeah, I totally agree with you on kindness. If
Yeah,
the world is
yeah,
kinder, yeah.
yeah. You're 100% on that. Sorry for, and the
No, go
people,
ahead.
some people that, yeah, and some people that are, that are saying, or that are feeling disappointed that how could you, two people, you know, I wish they can look themselves in the mirror and tell themselves that everything is perfect, but they can't. That's why I said, like, there's a lot of disability or what should I call it? So there's a lot of hardship that people are going through. It doesn't have to be okay. Yes, you're seeing the physical one. That's the one that is screaming that that you're seeing physically, and it's causing so much, reaction. But there are a lot of people are going through stuff. There are people that cannot even get up of their bed the whole day, and these are people that have
True.
two legs, two hands, fully functional. In fact, if you see them, you can think you might even give them the award of Miss Universe or or Mr. World or something like that. But these are people that they can't even at the end of the day, unfortunately, sadly, some people even go as far as taking them taking their lives. So that is something that people needs to work on internally. Mental, if you can show kindness to someone, just show kindness to somebody, and
True.
don't try to look at that person as if, why are you like this? Okay, theirs is shouting, you can see it because of their physical appearance, but you should understand that the most important thing is how you feel inside. How you feel inside is very important, and
Mm.
that anybody can be a victim of that.
True.
Anybody. No,
True.
yeah, that's just it. Mm.
True. Thank you so, so much for that perspective, Ovie. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to move on to Mabato. Mabato, you're especially welcome. How are you?
Hi, sis.
Music to my ears.
uh, Today
How are
I'm
you?
not feeling, 100%.
What's up?
I have like this irritating, sharp pain on my left side, so I haven't really been okay yesterday and today. So yeah.
So sorry. So
Oh my
sorry.
goodness. But
Please get
I'll be
it
out.
checked. Please
Yes.
get it checked, please. Get it.
I will.
All right.
Okay,
Hello.
so talking about this topic, I've been listening to everything that everyone has been saying, and to be honest, I'm like, okay, everyone has strong opinions, right,
Mm,
about other people's lives. Of course, we all do. But
mm,
in this case, it almost feels like I want to come from a humanitarian point,
mm,
right, to say, um, whether they think that they should or should not, before I even give my own opinion in that, I think maybe for them they wanted to produce something out of the love that they have for each other.
mm,
So the only way that they thought that could happen was a child.
mm,
They have the social media, yes, they have the TikTok, they have everything like that. But sometimes some people just want to have something that they can call their own. So probably
mm,
they have produced because of that, you know?
mm,
And it was in spite of knowing that they both carry this genetic, they both carry this disease.
mm,
And it can be selfish, like it truly can be selfish. I understand the point of view of people saying that, but that's so selfish. Now this child is gonna be suffering and everything like that. Yeah,
mm,
true, it is selfish. But when someone wants something so bad, it does not matter how selfish it might seem, but it is because they are looking for it and they want it for themselves, and therefore they have kind of like made a logical piece in their mind that this makes sense to them.
mm,
So they went out and got it. And then now, of course, it will be, but you're sharing it with the whole world. Um, so it means that you could be making money out of it and everything like that.
mm,
But I I want to be naive in my speaking today that I don't think that they would want to have this just to post and say, oh, yeah, we can make more money out of this child, right?
Mm,
So, like the previous speaker said, let's just try to be kind and everything.
mm,
Now, there are so many, the as what was her name? Was it Esther? That, or was it Queen? I forget
mm,
her name. When she is speaking about how, you can do a termination early when you find out that, this child that you're carrying might have such genetics. I want to fully disagree with that.
mm,
You know, only because there's two sides to every story. There's someone who will say, this is my one and only time to have a child. And I will give up on having every other child, but this one, because it was given to me, and they honor the fact that they were able to actually have a child. They want to keep that child.
mm,
You will see that as being selfish because you say that you have seen other people suffer and all of that. If someone continues to have kids with the same conditions over and over and over and over times four, then yes, you can say that no, you guys now are being selfish. You guys are being selfish. But if someone says, I just want this one for myself, yes, are they going to be perfect? No. Do I care? No. But this one is mine to me. Then, eh, then they will choose to have that. But now you will come and speak anger and despise on them and say, yeah, but you should have just, bite your child because then, now they are suffering and they're in this world and everything like that. Oh my goodness, you're selfish. No, 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 no. It's not
mm,
selfish. It's just them. They did not have an idea of what the extent of the disease or the disability, but what they knew is that they brought a life. When they decided to do the do with the person that they did the did with, they knew the possibility that they would get pregnant, and that encounter resulted in a pregnancy, and every child comes with different things.
mm.
So, but that's on the other side. On the logical side of things right now, it's a matter of, what I do appreciate is how everyone is saying that you should get tested. You
Yeah.
should. Everyone should get tested before you think of having a child, you know, and think of what your future would look like if the two of you come together and make a child or make babies.
Mm,
There are certain things that, of course, when a child grows, then they become sick and then you don't know, right?
mm,
But there are other things where you can say, okay, this can be preventive. Because I remember I was a child, I was born a healthy baby. It was like the cutest thing ever, if I have to say so myself. I was the cutest thing. But in primary school, it was so funny because I didn't want to go to school. So I faked fainting at school. Glory, I just went to sleep. I fainted. I dropped in class, right? I pretended I fainted. And then they took me to sick bay. They called my parents.
looks like you could do that. Very mischievous.
I was so mischievous. Oh my goodness. So I fainted. And then I remember I just fell asleep at some point because now I'm no longer faking. I legit just fell asleep. Next thing, But I think it was really God in disguise, because next thing they found out that I had a problem with my heart.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the next thing they found out that no, I actually have a problem with my heart. Me, I was just playing. I was like, oh no, I don't
Oh,
want to
wow.
go to class today. Let me faint. I was already at school. I was like, boo, fall. Because I had dared my friend. I was like, no, let's faint. My friend was like, she's not gonna faint. Luckily, she didn't say anything, because I think I legit shocked her. She thought I legit fainted. But then they found out that I have some problem with my heart, and then my parents, who were very much divorced by that time, they had to come together and, be with me during that time, going for ECMOs and everything, just to check, and medicine and all of that. But I'm good now. But
Mm,
you can't say that, as Abby has been sharing her story, that back then my parents could have just buyed me,
mm,
because they would not have known the challenges that would have came with me being born.
mm,
You understand? So,
mhm,
but with the case study of Dej and Antoine, I am a bit. It's a double-edged sword for me, right? It's almost like, yes, I
mm,
want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to have your own. I want you guys to have a symbol of your love and you guys coming together. But at the same time, as many people have put it, is it worth it? Is having this child, who will supposedly have, or as you've mentioned, it has been confirmed on TikTok that the child has that, sickness that they do have. Is it worth it to also put a child through that? We
mhm,
this the this other During the chat, there was someone who was talking about genetics, like dwarfism and or deafness, or these are not the things that we are talking about. A deaf person or a mute person can have a child. Like, listen, we can all learn sign language at some point. It's not even a bother.
mhm,
Those things are not a bother. Like dwarfism, it exists. We see it. We know it. It's not a disease. It's a genetic, like, what is it called? Yeah, but it's not a disease, Sha, whatever it's called. This one
mhm,
is a serious genetics on the body, and people are wondering, let's see, if you are having it, does we have to speak of how selfish it is, because the both of them are living through it. And the brittle bone disease, while you were speaking, I just read somewhere that it is actually, like, it's painful to the
yeah,
bones. It, like,
it is
you are in pain. You get
in
it. So
discomfort all the
if
time.
so that's where the argument is coming from, to say, how you are, you are in pain. Now, would you subject someone to that pain? So I don't know. That's why I'm saying it's a double-edged sword for that.
Mm,
Everybody said almost everything that I would have said, but for me, it's a really a matter of a heart. What is this? A human issue. I always say people have to live with the choices that they make. I tell my kids that at church. I'm like, you have to make a choice, and you have to learn to bear the consequences of the choices that you make.
absolutely.
So when people don't do genetic testing, know that at the end, when you two come together and make and consummate, you have to live with the choices that you've made, that you did not go through genetics. Me me getting rid of a child is, it's not an option. I'm a bit, only because I'm a Christian, so it's really not an option for me. But now I'm gonna leave this on a light note, because I can feel like my pain is becoming too much. Um,
Mm, that's good.
so what I want to say, Glory, is that when I was googling Dash and Antoine, sis, you are the first person that came out. Did you know that? I'm gonna send you a screenshot. I am going to send you. I'm gonna send you a screenshot.
I see that. I saw that today. I'm like, oh wow. Okay.
You saw it.
I said, okay, what did I do now?
Oh, I shouldn't laugh. I'm saying I saw you. I was like, I took a screenshot. I'm like, listen, we're gonna send this to my good sis to
Please
show her
send
that
me.
listen, AI is approving. They're like, listen, if you want to
Oh
know what
wow.
people are saying about this, and the other, glory, glory, Elijah
Whoa.
spoke about it. Okay,
Oh wow.
so
AI is quoting me, yeah?
it is.
Wow. That's
Oh,
insane.
but
Wow.
let me love
Okay.
and leave you. Oh my goodness,
Thank you.
sis.
Thank you so much. Listen, Mabato, you need to go and get yourself checked, please. I know we're laughing, but we need you to be okay. We need you to be well.
Yeah.
Okay? Please go and
Yes.
check. Go and check. If you were
Oh,
in Lagos, I
Billy.
would have come to your house with what we call a boniki balm. Come and massage that side for you. But you're far off. So please go to your hospital. Go and get it checked, okay?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank
Bye,
you. And thank you so
sis.
much. Thank you.
I,
Thank you for your contribution. Thank you. All right. Let's hear from David. David, you're welcome.
Hi, Gloria. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. You're
Okay,
welcome.
good. Okay, good. Yeah. Uh, I guess today it's not. I don't come as a pastor today. I come as a doctor today. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. Let me just say that. I mean, every day we switch it out, right? So, but this is very
Yes.
apt. This is an apt. This is a topic that I understand. I mean, maybe more than most people. Based on my career.
Mm,
Let me just put this disclaimer out there. I am not a gynecologist, right? I'm not an
mm,
OB-GYN. So I have to say that because there are doctors and there are doctors, right? So, for example, a
right.
psychiatrist is not a gynecologist. A general surgeon is not a cardiologist. My specialty is away from OB-GYN, but I went to med school. So I sort of know a little bit of this issue, right? You know, let me start by saying that if you know anyone who is a doctor, right, and they've graduated from med school in any country in the world, right,
Mm,
they must have seen lots of things do before they became a doctor, right? And
mm,
anyone who's practicing right now has seen different things. It's what you see that you can't. It makes you weak. I mean, you see a day-old child die in your hands in the labor ward, and
mm,
you've seen everything. Like you're almost numb. You're almost like, what is this life? Let me just put it that way, right?
mm,
Genetic diseases are, it's a spectrum. It's not one thing. It's not maybe genotype ASA. No, it's not maybe someone has Down syndrome, right? It's more than that. There are different kinds of the reason why I'm starting with this is so that, because I heard some of the people talking. I just want to clarify some things, right? It's
mm,
true that there are some genetic disorders that you can pick before, even before, for example, people who do IVF, right? In
mm,
vitro fertilization. There's something called PGT testing, right? Where
mm,
you can actually, even before you transfer uh, the the fertilized egg into the woman, you can test and know if the egg is good to be fertilized, to be transferred or not. So you stop some genetic things from happening from that point. So there's no, you don't have to go to the point of doing amniotic villus sampling, chorionic villus sampling, and all that. Amniocentesis, where the person is already pregnant, right? And then maybe it's 3 months later, or 12 weeks, then you want to now say, oh, this child is not viable, abort. No, you stop them from even putting that feature, that embryo in the woman, right? Because you find out that the egg has some problems, right? Now, even those problems, this is how complex it is. There's something they call morula. Morula is like a Morula. So it's like a mosaic. So the morula is a stage it is a stage in biology when the baby is growing, and at that stage there are different eggs, and all those parts of the morula become different parts of the person, the egg, and all that, right?
Mm.
the marula can have what they call mosaic, which means some parts are normal, some parts are not normal, right? At the end of the day, right? This is one of the reasons why it's so hard for a doctor to tell someone with 100% certainty that this child is not going to do well. This one's going to take this one, because you don't even know some of the mosaic correct themselves during the
Mm.
pregnancy. The placenta and the woman has a way of correcting some mosaic problems. So a baby that was had some abnormal cells turns out to be normal. So if you are told that person to get rid of that child, and that's the only one the person has, you've pretty much shot the person in their foot, right? And so you don't really know that for a certain, but there are some that we know for a fact that this is going to be a problem, right?
Mm.
Anencephaly. There's some things that no head, no brain, no skull. So it's tough. The issue is when you have a couple, this story, the husband and wife, right? When you have
Mm.
people like that have genetic issues, right? My
Mm.
belief is that they must have gone to do prenatal diagnosis, and I'm choosing my words well. Prenatal diagnosis. Again, let me say it again. It's not every genetic problem that has tests available for it. So there's
Mm.
some things that will happen. No, there's nowhere you are in the world. You be in the US, you be in the UK, wherever you are, you be in China, you will not be able to know that that child will come out normal or not. There's some genetic conditions that we do not have diagnosis for those conditions. So really, you can't stop it from happening. It's when the baby comes out that you find out, right? For example, this is not a genetic,
Mm.
it has some genetic um disposition to it, but it's not a genetic problem per se. Is autism, right? Autism, you can't make that diagnosis before 6 months. It takes a while. For the child has to be a little bit older before you can say, okay, this child has autism, right? And there is no one gene, no one single
Yes.
gene that's connected to it, right? So you can't, okay, if I stop this gene, I'm going to stop it. No, you cannot, right? Ultimately it leads you to appreciate God. Again, I don't want to sound biblical, but if you see a woman gets pregnant and have a normal child, it's a miracle. Let me just tell you now, it's anyone who is normal, who by the definition of normal, because what is normal to you may not be normal to someone else. Remember the speaker who said someone may have six pack, but the person may have mental issues, right? So
Mm.
just because someone is appearing normal doesn't mean, for example, the person doesn't have high cholesterol, or the person doesn't have high. You can look normal on the outside. We don't know what's, even if your BMI, you might look like the ideal person, like people want to be like you, but when you do your blood work and you see some numbers, you'll be like, oh, I don't know, I had kidney problems, for example. I didn't know I had this. You'll now begin to say, oh, I thought I was normal. So even the people you think are normal, how normal are they? You know, back to
True.
this back to this couple though. I want to side with, so I recognize that patients have choice. That's one of the things they teach us, right? A patient has a
Mm.
choice, right? In this case, the baby is not the patient. That's the thing, right? That's why the baby doesn't have a choice yet. This is you're dealing with the mother and the father to be, right? So they have a choice if they want to carry the baby pregnancy to term. You can't tell them, you can't, as a doctor or a physician, force them to you cannot do that, right?
Mm.
But all you can do is you have to let them know the options, all the options. You have to let them know, if you bring this child, this is what you're going to expect, right? And they will
Mm.
make an informed decision based on what you tell them, right? You can't force anyone. Is it selfish? I mean, if you are struggling to take care of yourself, why would you bring someone else to this world? I mean, why will you do that? If for money, the reason, I'm struggling to get the reason. So if the reason is I must have a child because I feel that I will not be fulfilled unless I have a child, is that enough reason to now bring a child that will now become a problem to everyone around and including you? you know
Mm.
and what if people don't play out the scenarios very well? What if you bring up a child, right? Yes, let's stay with this story now, right? This couple, you said, I don't know, is it confirmed that the child has a problem? I don't know, is it confirmed?
It
I
is.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine, say god forbid, when I want to say, I have to say god forbid, right? Let's assume that now the child is now alive, right? Then the husband, the parents now die suddenly. Who's going to take care of
Mm.
that child? Who's going to take care of that child? You have not you've not considered that you've not counted the costs. You've not sat down to look at the options. There's something called, I'll end here. If you have any questions, you can ask me. There's something called
Mhm.
CRISP, CRIPSR, something like that. CRISP, right? It's a very, very novel way. It's a technology that is available right now, right? It's I think the stuff has been used in China. They're using it in the United States and some other places, right? It's almost like you get someone who has a DNA. So the DNA is where the genes are, right? The DNA
Mm.
is where the genes are, right? If someone has a single gene mutation, so a problem with a single gene, that CRISP is almost like taking a pair of scissors, cutting the DNA, removing the part that is bad, removing it, and then putting the part that is good into it. So as technology improves, as
Mm.
medical as research improves, people are actually getting around this thing. You know, people are. I'm serious. People are doing research to try to solve some problems. So it's not like the medical field is just sitting down, hands in the air, like, hey, we just give up. No, what I'm saying is, you can have a child that's SS. I'm literally saying it here on live, right? If you have a child that's SS, and the place where the valium, the amino acids, there are some places where the actual problem is. You can cut the stuff, remove it, and put a good one. And then the person will now have at least half of the blood will now be A, and then that way there are no more SS, right? So
Right.
there's although they've not it's not available all over the place at very affordable rates, and the science is not to the T yet, right? But that just tells you that people are not giving up, right? People are trying their best. Overall, at the end of the day, you bring a child to this world. It's your responsibility to take care of that child.
Mm.
If you are being taken care of, then you should not be bringing a child to this world. That is
Mm.
the summary of the whole thing. Yeah, I'll keep quiet
Mm.
now. It's a very tough. It's a tough topic. It's a touchy topic. One more thing I wanted to correct. So there was someone that said that ischemic heart diseases is the commonest cause of death or mortality in the world. Well, it's cardiovascular disease in general. Cardiovascular. So the heart and the vessels, right, is the commonest in the whole world, right? Then number two is probably cancer epidemiology. So cancer, different kinds of cancers, right? So the person is right, but ischemic heart disease is just a type of cardiovascular. There are other causes of cardiovascular diseases, of which you put hypertension in that category. There are other things there, yeah. So that's it. It's tough. It's tough. If for example, these people were in front of me, and the question that the patients always ask is, hey, Dr. David, if you were me, will you take this intervention? If you anytime you're in front of a doctor, right, and they're giving you options, they say you can have this, you can do this, you can do that. You, before you leave that place, you have a lot of information. Ask that doctor, if you were in my shoes, which one will you choose?
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you realize that, oh, he was just giving me head knowledge. He didn't want to tell me
Mm.
the actual truth. Right. I'll keep quiet now. Yeah.
Mm. Wow, David, this is
Uh,
this is
Glo-
another dimension. This is another dimension.
Gloria.
I actually have a question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've listened to the doctor, and I think he did justice to the discussion. And I also mentioned cardiovascular in general. I think ischemic is just part of the cardiovascular,
Correct.
Mm.
issues. And
Correct.
and the lady I think that spoke before said something about like the brittle bone disease is like
Yeah.
painful. But to be honest, if you do just a small research on that, you discover it's just when they are susceptible to kind of bone fractures, right? So
Correct.
Mm.
inherently, it's not painful. It's not painful until they fracture something, because that's why they have a lot of people taking care of them, because they can't do the normal things, or some other things that people will do easily.
Would do.
And
Yeah.
but the point that she made is good to clarify, that just uh, the thing itself is just they are just it's just painful without any fracture. No, it's not. Like they are
Hmm.
not like going through like pains in their body, just like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yes, that's
Yeah,
fine. Yeah,
yeah. It's but they are
correct,
susceptible to bone fractures, and once they have those
correct.
bone fractures, obviously they will have to
They will have
go
pain.
through
Yeah,
pain.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
to go
Yeah.
through pain. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Sorry,
Okay,
Glory,
so
you. Yeah,
I have a question. Yeah, I have
yeah,
a
that's fine.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like for you to demystify this information I grew up learning.
The
You
one of
know.
30, 30 if when you get to 30 years old, yeah, that's it. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so yes, that is easy to demystify. Very, very easy for you to demystify that, right? The when you have the moment a girl comes to this world, right? The moment you are a female child, right? From day
Mm,
zero, right? Unlike the men who have the sperm is made in the semen, the sperm is made in the testicles, right? In females, the number of eggs they have is fixed.
mm,
I'm gonna make it so it's over 750,000. So there's a fixed amount, right, for females, right? For males, they make their sperm it's ongoing, right? So
mm,
what I'm saying here, let me give you the analogy of this, right? So if you have 10 fingers at birth, right? So you always have 10 fingers. Unless you have an accident, the 10 fingers may become 9 fingers or eight. It's not going to be 11 or 12, right? It does not
mm,
increase. It remains the same, right? That's how the ovaries are. Now, I'm not speaking from a religious angle. I'm just speaking from a medical angle, right? Now, on the other hand, if you see a child, when they have their hair, a little child hair, not a lot of hair on the scalp, and then as they grow, more the hair gets full and full and full, more hair, right? That is different, right? So one of them is like the female, one of them is like the male, right? So the females
mm,
have fixed number of eggs. Is a lot. If you menopause has been moving, the age that women get to menopause has been around 50, 51, 52. It's been around that range. It stayed there very, very. It's one of the few things that has not balked, right? So menopause, I'm talking of natural menopause, not that you had surgery and they
mm,
took out your ovaries, right? Before menopause, as long as a woman is having a cycle and she's giving out eggs, every whatever our cycle is, if it's a long cycle, short cycle, once a month, whatever, right? As long as she has eggs coming out, right, from the ovaries, and those eggs are meeting the sperm, she can get pregnant.
mm,
That's it, right? But the moment you reach menopause, then if you no more have those eggs, then you cannot medically be pregnant. I'm choosing my words well. I said medically because I know that things happen that medicine cannot explain, right? So
mm,
there are situations like that. Now, among those 750,000 or more eggs, right? When every month, like five, let me just use an example. 8 or 9 of them start to come out at the same time, but only one of them finally comes out. So the remaining ones that don't make it all the way out of that eight, the remaining seven, they just go away. That you've lost all eight. Let's put it that way, right? So every
mm,
cycle you lose more than one egg. That's what I'm saying. You lose more than one egg. And you've been having this from the day you started having your menses. If it's 12 years old, 13, 14, 11, whatever. Because that by the way, the time people start seeing their menses is becoming younger. People are getting younger when
yeah,
they start seeing that. Unlike the one of menopause where I said is fixed, right? The other extreme,
mm,
right? The eggs are funny. The way the eggs come, some eggs they are not the same quality. So some eggs are
mm,
have more quality than some. And it's never that nobody knows. This is where they now bring this issue of age, right? So by epidemiological studies, so by grouping people, not by looking at you, not by not a personal study of your own case, right? So just
mm,
grouping a lot of people together, right? They realize that people that if you say you look at people that have kids from 18 to 25, 24, 25 to 30, 30 to 35, 35 to 36 to 40, 40 to 45, like that, right? They realize that the number of kids that are not that come out to be normal, right, at the end of in those age brackets, right, as long
mm,
as the woman is less than 35 years old, right? 35. So it's not 30 now. I'm choosing until it's 35, right? As long as the lady
mm,
is 35 or less, right? The chances are that every time she's giving out that egg is likely, I'm choosing my words again, is more
Mm,
likely to be normal than less likely to be abnormal, right? Now, if you now say 36 years old to like 45, it's not like you are not giving normal eggs too. It's just a probability, right? It's a
mm,
likelihood, right? So people should not say it as though it's a fact. There are many people that for different reasons they have their women having their kids at later ages now, and the kids are coming out normal. So
mhm,
if in the analogy I'll say is, let's assume for if you are in your 20s, right?
mhm,
For every 10 eggs, this is not fact. I'm just giving you for explanation purposes, right? Explanatory
mhm,
purposes, right? So if for every 10 for let's assume you have your menses every month. So 12 months in a year, right? So for the whole January to December, if you're in your 20s, all those 12 eggs, maybe 11 of them are normal. You see
mm,
what I'm saying? Now, when you get
mhm,
to late 30s, it's not going to be all 11 that will be normal now. It will be maybe 8, 7, 8. It's not zero. It's not one. It's not two. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's
mhm,
why, and remember, right? It takes two to tango, right? So it's not just
mhm,
they keep focusing on the female. Do you not also know that the men, yes, you are making your sperm at every. You keep making sperm. You don't have a bank from when you make as you go on. But the way of describing infertility, for example, or subfertility, is that 30% of the problem is females, 30% is male, 30% is both, and then 10% is
mm,
unknown. Right. So that means it's almost equal. So that means you can have a woman who is in her late 30s, early 40s, who has normal egg, but her partner has an abnormal sperm, and then they'll blame the man. Sorry, they'll blame the woman. They'll say it's because she's having her children. So no, no, no. That's why testing is absolutely critical.
mm,
In all my what I wish for, right? One of the things I hope that will become more commonplace. So by the way, I hope I've dispelled that rumor that if you are 30, no, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. Even if
exactly.
you even the number 30 is even too, if they want to say anything, they will start from 35, and even that 35 is not true. That's what I'm saying. It's about
Mm,
chances, it's about likelihood. You have to say it the way it is. You should not say all or none. It's not an all or none here. That if you are 37 years old, you can't have a no normal child. No, that's not true. And then it might be your partner. Remember what I said? And
mhm,
so don't let people should not go with that mindset. If I have my way, the way, if you're in Africa, right, and you are in a place that has sub-Saharan Africa, and where there's malaria, or the malaria endemic, right, where if you are
mm,
sick and you go to the clinic or hospital, they will just draw your blood and they'll say, oh, you have malaria parasite, you have malaria, or you have typhoid, right? I wish it was that how available those tests are to check the falciparum. I wish that's how available IVF option is,
mm,
because during IVF, right? If you know anyone who's gone through IVF, it's not just that they take your sperm, they take you the over egg, they do no, no, no. They test those things so that they
mm,
make sure that what you're finally giving back to the woman as is actually has a strong chance of being normal.
mm.
All right, let me keep quiet. Any other questions? And I know the other gentleman is still on there. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. I really appreciate this clarity you gave, David, because as I mentioned before, that was the let me call it the perception they had then. That was the information they were spreading as at then. And I also said that there were young girls, 15, 20, 15, 16, 17, 18, that were
Mhm.
having babies, and those babies were growing up and having one physical defect or the other.
Oh, the other,
That's
yeah.
on the side. And then, still because of the kind of environment I grew up in, we had women that were above 40. They've given birth to maybe 5 kids, and they still continue to get pregnant
Yes,
and give birth.
exactly.
And the kids are normal. We're talking about women that are above
So,
40. So,
so there's
it,
a there's an so Glory, there's an elephant in this room that we've not talked about, right?
yeah.
The final outcome of most, when I started this conversation, I said genetic diseases they're complex. Some of them are just a single gene. So, for example, the S gene, the A gene, right? That's a single one. Or the one for cystic fibrosis or thalassemia, that's single gene. But some of them are a multifactorial thing. So, environmental issue comes into play, right? So if you have a lady, in her 20s, right, who drinks a lot alcohol, she can have an abnormal child. So there's environmental factors that they will not tell you, right, that can play a role in the final outcome of that child, right? So it's not everything that is just the gene, right? It's not everything. It's not just the chromosome. The chromosomes are absolutely critical. You want to have 46 chromosomes, right? You don't want to have a trisomy, monosomy. That's true, but it's more than that. You know, yeah, I agree with what Abby is saying there. But the man's count is very low, but they are blaming the woman. Yeah, it's true. That's what I just said earlier. That the man, it's 50-50. I'm sorry, it's actually 50-50, right? Anyway, let me go back, right? The interplay between unchecked obesity, metabolic syndrome X, which is something else, right? And its effect on fertility of males is another problem where their sperm is having problems too. So it's tough. At the end of the day, let me put another one more complex thing. I know I have to go somewhere in the next 6 minutes, but let me just put one complex thing here, right? Even on genetic disease disorders, right? Right. Do you know that there are some disorders that skip generations? So what I mean is the great grandfather
Wow.
has it, the great grandfather has it, the grandfather does not have it, the father
Wow.
has it, the son does not have it. It keeps based on the way it's
Wow.
if it's autosomal dominant or autosomal recessive. It's based on the way it's passed down. Right, that's number one. Number two, there are some conditions that are X-linked, which means it's only the female. You will notice that in some families, it's only the females that have some problems, and there are some too that is in the Y chromosome as well, the males that have it, right? So it's the complexity. That's why I go back to what
Wow.
I revert back to what I was saying, that I wish they could make testing, not just testing when you're already pregnant, not the one when you're already 12 months, the one before. That's what I'm saying. The one that is before, and then the crisp I talked about. I wish they could expand its use to other things so that people can that already have problem right now can be treated. Actually, there is a difference between managing a patient and treating a patient. In managing a patient, the problem is still there. You are just coming every year, taking the medication for the rest of your life. E.g., if you have high blood pressure, if you have hypertension, they give you hypertension medication. You will use that medication for the rest of your life, right? Especially if it's primary hypertension, right? Unless it's secondary to something else, then if you treat that something else, the hypertension goes away. That's different, right? But if you have pneumonia, if you have lung infection, bacterial infection of the lungs, if they give you antibiotics and they treat it, it's gone. You don't take the antibiotic for the rest of your life. That's a treatment there. So that how they have to go towards treating genetic, not managing, but treating and giving people a real chance. Most of the money you see in research, in medical research, yeah, I see. It looks now. I have 3 more minutes. They're already hollering at me here. But let me quickly say this point. Right, most of the medical research that you see, genetic disorders is not high on their list. It's not. I'm going to say it the way it is. The the world. I'm going to say something that's controversial, but if you think deep, it's actually true. This is a man's world, and not just a man's world. A man's world in the man that is in his prime. Let's put it that way. Which means any disease that does not affect a man that is in his prime, they don't really put a lot of money into it. If not, that's why they have to put it. The women have to make a lot of noise for you to have a lot of money in breast cancer research. Otherwise, breast cancer will not have a lot of money,
True.
and that's one of the most funded medical problems in the world. Breast cancer research. You probably know that, right? So, Alzheimer's, for example, Alzheimer's, dementia. It's they fund that a lot. Brain problems, they fund that a lot. How much funding do they give to children problems, kids, neonates, infants? Nothing. They do, but it's not a lot. It's not. You cannot compare the amount of money that is churned out for breast cancer to the amount of money that is churned out for Down syndrome. You cannot. That's just an example of how unfair the system is, right? This is the last thing I'll say. It is who wears the shoe that knows where it pinches. Some of the things I'm not praying for some people to have a bad experience. Sometimes you need a champion, someone who has a very good platform to have a problem for them to now start putting funding that now solve the problem in that place.
David, we're losing you. Your connection is crapped up.
I'm still there. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's not really clear.
Oh, it's not clear. Hold on.
Yeah.
See this. Actually, can you hear me now?
Yeah. But if you can move back to where you were before was really crystal clear.
Hold on. Let me see.
Well,
Is this clear? Okay.
I think it's the connection. Oh, I think it's the connection. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hope he comes back because I really want to hear the last point he was about to drop. But that was really, really apt. Very, very apt. Very, very in depth from David. I really needed that information because, oh my God, I've been hearing so many things right from growing up as a young girl, and it's just been too much, and then there's the guilt tripping, and then people trying to connect it to Anton and Dej's situation. It's just been a lot. Okay, David is back. Hi, David. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but there's this static that's going on. I don't know if it's from my end. Can
No,
you
this
hear
is
me?
fine. I can hear you.
It's fine here
I can
now.
hear you
Okay,
now.
because I'm outside actually. Yeah, yeah. So let me just round up. So my thing is, there's not enough emphasis on this topic. I'm happy you actually brought this topic out, right? If
Mm,
the topic today, I know if it's Big Brother, like one of the other callers said, a lot of people
mm,
will have comment. 1,000 people will be watching, right? But you're not seeing a lot of. You're not seeing 1,000.
yeah,
If it was breast cancer or prostate cancer, you see more people. You see, so
mm,
it's almost like the extremes of ages are left out
yeah,
in conversations. And if you don't have a seat on the table, no one is going to fight for you to get. And if you don't do research, you can't advance. You can't treat those things. You can't find cures for those things, right?
mm,
So that's my second prayer is that someone somewhere will start paying attention to things like this.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
I
Thank
got to run
you.
though. I know I have to. Yeah. So
Thank
just
you.
the summary. It's more than genetic has a role. There's something they call epigenetics. So this is the last thing I'll say. Right. There's something called EPI genetics, epigenetics, where
Mm,
there is changes so that you can come out normal. You might not have a problem in your life. You are in your 30s, you're in your 40s, in your 50s, but something in your lifestyle connects with your gene, and you now have a problem.
mm,
So there's the end of the story is this. Any doctor who knows their stuff will tell you at the end of the day, man is just man. Man,
true.
I use the word now man as man and woman now, right? So a human
Yes.
being is a human being. This you can be healthy today and sick tomorrow. Like it's true. You can look healthy, you don't have a genetic problem, but you can have another problem that's even bigger than that.
True.
Endometriosis is an issue in females. Fibroid is an issue in females.
Mhm,
That's a whole
mhm.
topic on its own. So you can't. There's no end to it. At the end of the day, you'll come to a conclusion that you can't know it all. You just have to just go by the flow, basically. Yeah. All right.
True.
Let me run away. Sorry, I have to run
Thank
away.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much,
Thanks,
David.
Glory, for having me. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, David. About this prostate cancer, that is another conversation for another day. There's been a lot of controversies around it. We will book a day, another weekend, to have a proper conversation about it. But I'm really happy that we've had this conversation. Ove, you are here. Do you want to say anything to add to what David has said or shared? I don't know if Ove is here. I think he's gone off. I'm trying to unmute him, but he's not unmuting. So I think he's busy. But really, guys, I'm so happy that we had this conversation. If there's anybody that wants to share anything else, please do well to click the link in the comment section. For me, I don't really have anything else to say other than I am happy that we had this conversation today. And as you guys rightly said, if it was the Big Brother Niger conversation, a lot of people are going to show up. But for this kinds of topic, a lot of people are not probably they probably don't understand the importance of conversations like this. But hopefully, as time goes on, we get more people to join us. Yeah. But really, thank you all so much for everybody that engaged this conversation, to those of you that contributed, Queen Omo, S. Kuku, Fortune, Ove, Mabato, and David. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution, for your knowledge shared. I am really grateful. I have actually learned a lot, really, really learned a lot. Listening to every single one of you speak, I have tapped so much from every single one of you. And I'm going to hold this information to my heart because I need it. I need it. Yes, I need it. So thank you so much for sharing from the wealth of your knowledge. These things that you people shared here today, these are things that one would need to take out time to go and research on Google or any other information platform, or these are things that you would probably have to go and pay to a consultant, to get that kind of knowledge. But here we are getting all of these information for free. And I do not take it for granted. I am grateful. So thank you all so much for an amazing time spent here today. It's been really worth it. And I'm glad you people showed up. You showed up and you really gave it your all to this conversation. I am grateful. Thank you all so much. Since there's nobody else here to share, okay, Ove said he has network issues. Okay, Ove, thank you so, so much. I am grateful for your presence here. Thank you so much for bringing on the message of kindness. And indeed, you're absolutely correct. The world is such a cruel place, but it can be a beautiful place if people extend more grace to others and if people show more kindness to others. So yes, thank you all so much. Now, I'm going to give you guys a heads up of what we will be discussing on our next week, Saturday's gathering. Next week, we will be I don't know how to coin this topic properly, but I'm going to explain. All right. So you all put your thoughts together. When we meet here again next week, Saturday, we'll have a robust conversation about it. All right. So I have a childhood trauma. This particular one is really personal to me. I have a childhood trauma, still dealing with it, of a lack of attention. Growing up in a family of, let me call it 9. My parents gave birth to 7 of us. Yeah. I'm the 6th. So um I grew up nursing a bit of resentment towards my parents because I felt like, why did you have so many children? Why? What was the point? What were you trying to prove? So I felt like I did not get that much attention that I deserved as a child. And this is not me trying to sound selfish or entitled or anything, no. But as a child, there was just a lot of things going on. And I felt like having 7 children was just way too much. Yeah. And I'm going to share more about this on Saturday when we meet. But here's the question from that little experience I just shared. How many kids do you think a couple should have in a marriage? How many kids? What's the number? What's the ideal number of kids that a couple should have in a marriage? Back in the days, when I say back in the days, back in my mother's days, in the 90s, in the 80s, you see families where a couple has like 10 children. There was one that lived close to us, just as my parents had 7 of us. There was this particular family, they had 9. There was this one, the man had money, very wealthy man in the church where I was attending before I left. This man had 50 children. He had, I think, 4 wives or 5 wives. I don't know, but they said he had 4 wives, and then he had multiple children from different mistresses. I don't know, but the truth is, the man had 50 children. It got to the point where some of those children, they were dating each other without knowing that they were actually siblings. Yeah, it became an incest spree. Incest was happening. Yeah. So it happens that way. And that was back then in the 80s and the 90s, right? I'm a 90s baby. I was born in the 90s, 1990. So now this is 2005. People are getting married every day. You go into comment section of blogs and you see people saying, God, when? God, when? Oh, you see somebody would post the picture of a baby and somebody would say, oh, I claim it. I claim it. My womb shall experience 5 of these, 10 of these. And I'm looking at such kind of comments and I'm wondering, like, what are you trying to prove? Women, what are you trying to prove? You know, so there's a lot of angles to this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm letting you all know that I'm trying to heal my inner child. My inner child is not yet healed. I'm trying to heal my inner child by having this conversation. So this particular conversation is very personal to me. I am going to muster up all the courage I have to share more on Saturday when we meet. All right. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in this box. I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there as well who are struggling with this, but because of societal construction, they probably feel like if they open up about it, people are going to point fingers at them and shame them for being selfish, shame them for being entitled, ungrateful. You know, some people would want to talk about this, but they would tell them, oh, you are not even grateful that your parents even sent you to school. Oh, you are not even grateful that your parents even managed to bring you into this world. I've heard comments like that, you know, and for years I have kept my mouth closed about this. But I realized that this situation has actually affected me in so many ways that I can't even imagine. And I really want to talk about it. Okay. So hopefully, come next week, Saturday, my inner child will get a lot of answers to the many questions that I have. Okay. And yes, if you're wondering if I have asked my mother this question, I have. You know, sometime early this year, my mom came visiting and I asked her directly, like, why did you give birth to 7? Why? What was the rush? Why did you have 7 of us? And she had given me an answer, which I will share on Saturday because I don't want to say everything today, you know. So yeah, I'm laughing, but yeah, that little glory inside is not very happy, not very satisfied with that situation. And so I look forward to us having a robust conversation next week. As I said, I'm still trying to properly coin the title of the discussion, the conversation, right? But let me put it simply. What is the ideal number of children that a couple should have in a marriage to raise a family, to start up their own family? What is the ideal number of children? All factors taken into consideration, economic factors, um, environmental factors, emotional, psychological, all factors considered. What is the ideal number of children that a couple should have? How many babies should a couple produce in a marriage? What is the ideal number? All factors taken into consideration. And so I leave that as a food for thought for all of you. When we see next week, Saturday, we will have this conversation. But really, thank you all so much once again for your time. I really appreciate. And in case you guys don't know, you see these conversations we're having these days, it's really, really helping me because a lot of times I am left with myself and my thoughts. I think about these things a lot and I really want to have conversations about it with someone, you know. So having this conversation with few people and learning alongside the conversation, guys, it goes a long way to help me a lot. So my gratitude goes out to every single one of you, especially you guys don't know what you're doing. I'm really grateful. And I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to really miss these our conversations a lot when Big Brother begins because to be very honest, I find these kind of conversations more fulfilling to have than having to discuss Big Brother, to be very honest. Yeah. But anyways, that's conversation for another day. But yes, back to reality. Thank you all so much. I am grateful for your time. Thank you for today's conversation. God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be nice to yourself, pamper yourself. And I'll see you guys on another episode of Frankly Speaking with Gloria Elijah. Thanks for watching and have an amazing time out. Bye. Ah.